This is sending crypto flying right now. It's sending stocks flying right now. It's sending everything flying. And there might be some chop. But what does this really mean for crypto? And more importantly, how do you position yourself for what's next, for what's to come next, right? Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Dre La Soul here with some more crypto news and crypto wisdom for your head top. So literally, just the other video, the last video I posted, I said, yo, this is the greatest buying opportunity. Maybe the best in our generational lifetime, right? And then guess what happens? A couple days after Trump tweets at 9:30 in the morning, now is a good time to buy and the markets go insane. Bro, I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I'm not saying your boy got the crystal ball like Ian Dunlap, but yo, it's crazy how timing is just immaculate. The fact that I said that and then look what happened to the markets. So what's good, UrbanBlockchain fam? Again, this is never financial advice. I'm just here to give y'all some wisdom and some news for your head top, for you to then take that, do your own research, do your own research, right? Build your own conviction and then make your decisions on your blockfolio, your portfolio, your crypto choices, your stock choices, whatever. I'm just here to give you some news, in my opinion, and some insight. You feel me? So we've got to break down what's happening in the macro news because it's breaking news, right? So this is sending crypto flying right now. It's sending stocks flying right now. It's sending everything flying. And there might be some chop, right? There might be some chop and sideways action going into the next couple of weeks. But yo, I've been saying this for weeks now. Liquidity is coming, right? M2 money supply is coming, right? I believe that QE, quantitative easing, is going to be coming as well. The money print is going to get turned on. There's a 60% chance that rates will get cut in June and rates might potentially get cut in May. And this is just a perfect recipe for us to explode, right? So we got to talk about this 90-day tariff pause that just hit the headlines, right? And the markets are reacting instantly, right? Bitcoin's up about 8%. Bitcoin is at like 83,000. Solana's up to almost 120,000. XRP is ripping right now. But what does this really mean for crypto? And more importantly, how do you position yourself for what's next, for what's to come next, right? So tariff pause may equal liquidity relief. Does it? Maybe, maybe no, but let's break it down. So the U.S. just paused reciprocal tariffs for 90 days, slashing them to 10% effective immediately, right? So across the board. And that's only for those that negotiated with us, right? So those that didn't negotiate, which is China, is getting slapped.
Two major developments. I'm going to go first that the president says he is authorizing a 90-day pause and substantially lowering the reciprocal tariff during this period of 10% effective immediately. There's some fuzzy language here. The upshot is that there's a 90-day pause in the reciprocal tariff. What I'm not clear on is whether we go to zero during that time or to back where we were, or if the 10% tariff remains in place. Either way, a major step forward. The president says that this is because more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States. Negotiations are ongoing, and so he's instituting this 90-day pause in the meantime. On the other hand, some negative news on China, saying that based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, he's raising the tariff on China to 125%. That's, of course, up from the 104% that took effect just at midnight, now going even higher to 125% because he does not like the way China has been retaliating rather than coming to the United States and wanting to negotiate. So two major step forwards here. One, obviously, very good for the markets. You're seeing the markets react to that.
So in a nutshell, that move opens the door for over 75 countries to renegotiate trade deals, right? This is a big deal, right? Because tariffs are kind of like taxes, right? And cutting them injects liquidity into the system. So more liquidity, that causes rocket fuel for risk assets like crypto, tech stocks, and stocks in general, right? So the crypto market response is green everywhere. The markets is green. If you take a look at the bubble maps, if you take a look at crypto maps, everything is green and it's looking good, right? Just off the back of that announcement, Bitcoin jumped nearly 8%. Solana and XRP are up 12 and 13% respectively. And that's not small. That's a major move in a short window. Even Ondo Finance, one of my favorite RWA coins, is up like Sui is up about 5 to 6%, maybe even 8% by the time this video is going to be posted, right? China hit hard with, strategic, isolation, I guess, because they isolated themselves as being the only ones. And they said that they were going to fight tooth and nail, right? Now, here's the flip side. While most nations got a break, China just got slapped with a 125% tariff, up from 104%. The U.S. cited a lack of cooperation and respect in negotiations. That's wild, bro.
They are the worst offenders in the international trading system. They have the most imbalanced economy in the history of the modern world. And I can tell you that this escalation is a loser for them.
Are you willing to go that far to remove Chinese stocks from U.S. exchanges?
Maria, I think everything's on the table. We are putting in process export controls for high value security-related goods. But that'll be President Trump's decision. And you know what, Maria? At the end of the day, President Trump, Chairman Xi have a very good personal relationship, and I am confident that this will be resolved at the highest levels.
This move could be an economic squeeze play, forcing China to, forcing them to the table while pushing other countries closer to the U.S. economically, right? If that plays out, U.S.-aligned trade could stabilize faster, right? And that'll be benefiting for the American markets. And by extension, the U.S. crypto market, right? Because as we know, crypto is a lagging indicator or just a lag of the stock market, right? Bitcoin trades kind of like a NASDAQ stock. It trades like your Metas. It trades like your Teslas, your Nvidias, your Microsoft, Apples, right? You can add that to the pile of your FANG stocks or whatever you want to call those stocks. It can be added as a NASDAQ. It lags it. And then all the other cryptos lag Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the key player. Once Bitcoin moves, everything else moves, right? So this is a good play and this is a good setup for the crypto market and for our portfolios and blockfolios. Now, I'm not one to make stock market predictions or anything like that, but let's talk about the stock market and its correlation to crypto. So analysts are split, right? Some expect a 10% correction in stocks short term, but a 25% bounce back if these trade talks go well. Now, we know crypto often mirrors the risk on behavior, right? So if the broader market recovers, crypto could front run that rebound. So we got to watch the VIX, watch liquidity flows, and track how Bitcoin reacts around key resistant levels, right? If it holds this range, bulls might just be back early and game on again. Now, let's talk about a consumer warning that, Senator Warren was talking about in regards to price gouging risk, right? So meanwhile, politicians like Elizabeth Warren are flagging price gouging concerns, especially on consumer goods. We've seen it before. Remember when washing machines spiked after tariffs and then dryers spiked, but there was no tariff on dryers, blase. So take a look at this clip and see what she has to say about that.
It's like part two. Remember our last conversation. Now you got another way to say that corporations are doing that. But then inflation came down. It seems like the corporations only gouge when you say they're gouging, and then they're unable to at other times.
So I know you don't want to listen to me on this, but listen to Jerome Powell on this. The example he gave on Friday was from the last time that Trump's tariffs went into effect. And he said there was a tariff on washing machines. No surprise, the price of washing machines went up. But the shocking part is the price of dryers went up as well, even though there was no imposition of tariffs on those. You tell me what that is except for price gouging. Price doesn't go up on dryers. The cost of dryers didn't go up.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good times. Yeah.
Totally. And I love the
I
smell.
love the way you're changing the subject
Changing the
here. That is an example of price gouging.
They told
I
me
think
we
it's
had
time
less
for
than
you
a minute.
to eat
They
that.
said-
Now they say we can keep it
Now
going.
we can keep it
Oh,
going.
now we can keep
I don't want to keep
going.
it going.
Good.
Yeah, Senator,
I bet you don't.
If corporations abuse the situation to hike prices, inflation sticks around longer. So that's the problem. And that could delay Fed's pivots. That's a key macro risk to watch, because if inflation flares again, rate cuts get pushed back and crypto gets squeezed. So that's why that's important. Now let's put a spotlight on some crypto regulation and what Scott Bessent had to say. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent dropped a really good nugget, right? Blockchain and stablecoins are now top regulatory focus. That means we might finally get some clarity, and that's what we need. And clarity brings capital. Capital is liquidity. It's all about liquidity and that flow of money flowing through the markets. And that's how it's going to pump our bags. More institutional confidence, more developer growth, more stablecoin rails for global payments. So more on-ramps for people to get into the market and for people to even take money out of the market. This could be a major unlock for real-world use cases and crypto. Even though crypto is already being used in the real world, some people don't see that. So this is going to make it more evident and more rampant and more apparent, right? Especially in DeFi and AI integrated ecosystems. So this is a big deal. It's a good look for us. So in my opinion, I think it's safe to say that we are all aligned that Trump's master plan is to get rates down, right? So that he can refinance the debt and so that he can stimulate the economy. I think Trump's ideal scenario would be lower rates and some sort of QE, quantitative easing, which will pump the markets and leave some type of legacy in the grand scheme of things that under Trump's legacy, under his regime, under his tenure, markets pumped in the grand scheme, right? So there's bank rates and there's treasury rates. There's two different rates, right? But the key to pump money into the American system is treasury rates, right? Treasury rates affect mortgage rates and they also affect interest payments, right? It also affects what other countries have to pay in interest rates that is denominated in the US dollar. Now, the thing is, everyone globally is skittish on buying US debt. But here goes the plan, right? Trump is setting up the grand bargaining, right? With these 75 countries around tariffs. Expectations will be set that if you're sitting at this table, right? You know, you will be a part of this grand bargaining and you are choosing sides, right? And you're choosing the side that for international trade and all that, it will be settled in the US dollar, a digital dollar, or maybe even a stable coin or whatever. But they will be forced to then buy US debt. Once again, specifically places like Japan, they will have to capitulate and buy US debt. In addition to that, bank liquidity is also becoming a problem, which will possibly result in some form of stimulation and the Fed stepping in. Now, in addition to that, China is pumping massive liquidity into their economy. Print, baby, print. They're printing, right? The printing press is going, right? And I think U.S. liquidity is going to be pumping as well going into the summer. So I think we'll be able to juke and spin and get around this so-called coming recession that they're talking about, right? But we're probably going to chop a little bit for the next couple of weeks. But I believe May, June, come that time, just in time for summer, crypto is going to be lit again. Crypto is going to be lit. So this 90-day tariff pause is more than a trade headline. It's a signal, right? If liquidity is coming back and regulation is softening around blockchain, we're entering a high leverage opportunity zone, one of the best opportunity zones ever. So stay sharp, stay in tune, make sure you do your research. Watch how ETH, BTC, Solana, XRP, and all those play out over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And always, as always, we'll keep you up to date with some information. It's your boy, Dre La Soul. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you learn something, drop a comment, hit your boy and let me know what you want to hear next. Or if you have some ideas on what I should be talking about. But again, I'm just going to be bringing you more news and more wisdom for your head top. We out.